All right, so you're welcome back, and now we're going to be looking at the matrix structure system. Now, the matrix structure system is actually very interesting because it incorporates both what we call the functional structure. It has the advantages of the functional structure, advantages of course, the product structure, and then even geographic, when you talk about the geographic divisional structure system. And it's able to give us the matrix structure system. It tries to bring about the dimensions of, again, as I said, the dimensions of a product structure, divisional structure system and functional structure system to then incorporate the advantages of both. So as you can see here in this table and in this diagram, you can see here we have the matrix structure system whereby you have a typical president, but with the president you also have product manager A, product manager B, product manager C, and product manager D. And seeing that, we can see that typically knowing that you have different specialization. Remember, functional structure system tends to focus on the issue of specialization and making sure that there's that divisional work, and that's what this matrix structure system tries to emphasize on. So even though you have the different product ranges or geographical location, depending on which type of divisional structure system that is incorporated into this, then you would have the various specialization in terms of functionality now of the organization. So it focuses on the functionality, then it focuses on the specialization in terms of the product or the geographical location. So here you would have the director of product operations, for example, which is the overall person in charge of all the products. Now remember, this brings about the harmonization, which, if you can recall, we said in one of the weaknesses of the matrix structure, the divisional structure system, is that at the end of the day, that harmonization, or making sure that there's that harmonization of the various divisions or the various geographical locations are together. And this is what matrix structure system is able to incorporate. So you'd have the director of product operations. Then with that, you would have various functionalities, which, for example, you have the person in charge of design, that's the vice president in charge of design. Then you have manufacturing, marketing, controller, basically in charge of the finances, and then you have the procurement manager. And all these functionalities play a major role towards aligning with all the product ranges that exist within that organization. So again, you can see how the matrix structure system, even though it's more dynamic than the divisional structure system, what it does is that it tries to bring that harmonization of the various divisions that exist within the organization as a whole. And again, the matrix structure system, it also groups employees by both function and the product itself. So you would have the various roles and responsibilities. So you'd have employees that work within a product A, for example, and then these individuals would then answer to what? They would answer to the person in charge of design, or they would answer to the person in charge of manufacturing or marketing. So you'd have one person in charge of marketing that would then be heading those working for the various product ranges that exist within that organization. So again, it brings that harmonization into play as effectively as possible. And also it helps towards centralization, which is very essential, because remember, if you have someone in charge of marketing that basically is in charge of, or the line manager for anybody marketing for product A, or somebody marketing for product B or C or D, at the end of the day, they make sure that the individuals or the employees are doing their job within the product range which they find themselves, and then that way it goes a long way towards the economies of scale. So remember, that's one of the disadvantages or weaknesses of the matrix structure system, whereby there's that weakness of economies of scale. So this goes a long way in improving the economies of scale, because remember, now the resources are still within one place, and then it's not spread across different baskets, and that way, but then again, it's still then focus on the various product ranges in terms of specialization. Then also, this structure can combine the best of both separate structures, and again, those separate structures are of course the divisional structure system that I just talked about, and the functional structure system. And a matrix organization frequently uses teams of employees to accomplish works. So it's more like a project. You'd have teams of employees that would work on maybe product A, then you'd have another team of employees that worked on product B. So for example, you'd have a team of employees using this structure system that we have in the diagram that is in charge of the product operations. You have individuals that are in charge of the design, and then manufacturing, marketing, and procurement. And you bring these individuals together from the various functionalities, and then they will become a team that would then work on product A or product B, product C, or product D towards achieving the common goal of the organization. And again, the matrix structure takes advantage of the strengths as well as makes up for the weaknesses of functional and divisional forms of structure system, which I've emphasized since from the beginning. So understanding that we understand the matrix structure system has, of course, a lot of strength in terms of trying to bring about the additional value that each structure system that I have previously spoken about brings to the table. But then talking about the strength and weaknesses of the matrix structure system, some of the strengths that achieves coordination necessary to meet dual demands from customers. Again, because there's that coordination from various product lines, and remember, you have a vice president maybe in charge of marketing that is able to meet the demands of product customers of product A and product B, and making sure that they're able to study each one. So it has that. So it's able to meet not even dual, but even triple or quadruple demands of, the customers, depending on how diversified the company is. Also, it's flexible sharing of human resources across the products, again, is a very big added advantage that would make anybody want to use the matrix structure system. Especially if you're trying to diversify the more, it will save you a lot of money. Remember, I talked about economies of scale. Then it is also suited to complex decisions and frequent changes in an unstable environment. Because you have someone in charge that specializes and has experience in a particular area, they're able to then bring to the table, any changes or any thing that's happening. Usually for any large organization, you tend to see that they have a unit or that's dedicated towards what we call changes in the organization, or what we call corporate strategy, and they're able to bring into play understanding that what are the necessary environmental changes and providing environmental analysis to then make forecasts or decisions in line with that. So it's able to usually bring that to the table when you talk about the matrix structure. Also, it's best in medium-sized organizations with multiple products, of course. So when we say medium-sized, we're just trying to say that usually as an organization expands to a larger scale, especially when you talk about the geographical divisional structure system. So focusing on the product structure system tends to work better with matrix structures than the geographical divisional structure systems. Because remember, geographic is in different locations. So how would you get someone that is the vice president of marketing, for example, that would be able to basically coordinate what is going on in Asia, or what is going on in India, what is going on in China, what is going on in US? It's not going to be possible. It's not going to be feasible. So it usually doesn't work out for large organizations that are expanding, especially on geographical basis. So it usually works more for product ranges, but products that are small and that's medium in nature in terms of the size. Then some of the weaknesses that it causes participants to experience dual authority, which can be frustrating. And this happens a lot with matrix structure systems because, again, remember, you would have, if you can recall, that's the diagram that I showed you in terms of the matrix structure system. You would have the product manager A, that of course is basically the person in charge of that product range. Then you would have the vice president of marketing, for example. So at the end of the day, when you're going to do anything, who do you answer to? Would you answer to the product manager A, or would you answer to the vice president for marketing? And this is some of the problems I would have, especially when the two authorities are having issues. So this is also another problem. Then also you would have that's the means participants need good interpersonal skills and extensive training is very essential when it comes to matrix structure system, because it's about being able to communicate to people at different levels. From different departments, you would have different product ranges, remember, or different divisions. So with that, the ability to communicate effectively and across the board with the dynamics of different individuals becomes essential. And of course, as I talked to you earlier on about that dual authority, it is also an issue. So you have to have the ability to be able to diffuse situations, avoid conflict, and even resistance to change. Then it is time consuming when it comes to matrix structure system, because it involves frequent meetings and conflict resolution sessions, as I've mentioned. So that becomes an issue. Also, it will not work unless participants understand and adapt collegial rather than vertical type relationships. So collegial here means understanding you have colleagues or you have people that you're on the same line of authority with, and understanding that you're working together and not working against each other, or you're not an island, is essential. So it's essential that they're able to work together in harmony. And this is some of the weaknesses that you have. And then it requires great effort to maintain power of balance when it comes to the matrix structure system, because everybody feels they're an authority of their own. So you always have to balance and understand everybody plays their own role in terms of authority, and just have a clear communication guideline and line of authority when it comes to the unity of command of who does what and the role that everybody plays within the organization. All right, so with that, we're going to go to the next topic, which is centralization and decentralization. All right, see you.